issue is at the youth level, it's at the middle school level, it's at the high school level.
We all want to support our kids when they're on the field or on the court, but too often it just goes too far.
At News 5, we follow through on stories that matter to our communities, but how long does a story need to be followed?
Well, if it's about assaults on referees, years.
They're being abused. You got to stop.
That was 2019. That's when we began covering what turned out to be the first of many bills calling for better protection for referees in Ohio.
News 5's Clay Lepard is following through again tonight to try to understand why the bill keeps getting all sorts of support year after year, but hasn't become law.
What can feel like a NASCAR meetup with all these logos is actually a recruiting event for sports officials. Think football, hockey, soccer, you name it. Trying to attract the next generation of talent.
You can look around the room here. There are not a lot of young referees that we really need. We need them.
One hurdle the industry faces, experts say, are the stories that just about every ref here we spoke with had.
My wife does not know this story because I did not want to tell her about how dangerous it could be out there.
For John Kipp, his was refereeing an adult rec league game at this Cleveland park in 1998. A controversial call during the game, escalating to assault after.
The man pulled out a firearm, and he was 25 feet away from me when he pulled it out of his bag and started walking toward me. And I was scared for my life, literally scared for my life.
It is a social norm that you can go to an arena and act this way and speak this way to officials because there are no consequences for it. So.
Ask NBA ref Simone Jelks. She has one too. The Lyndhurst native has spent the past 5 seasons reffing the best of the best in front of all sorts of crowds. So believe it or not, the scariest game she says she's reffed isn't a pro game or G League or even college. It was a 5th grade CYO basketball game.
After that game, when I was chased by grandparents to my car and harassed with a grandchild in their presence, I knew then it's not safe. Then my other partner who I was working with gave me a taser gun for the next week. And he told me to keep the taser gun in my bag.
A 2023 national survey reported 13% of officials admit to being assaulted by either a fan, coach, or player.
It's all the way down to, 6U or 8U, where parents think that their son or daughter is going to be in the major leagues, but because that ball was called foul when it was really fair, they're not going to be able to get their college scholarship now.
A bill at the State House led by Bill Romer seeks to change that, upping the penalties for assault if that victim is a sports official.
The first time someone is convicted of an assault on a sports official, it would be a $1,500 fine and it would be 40 hours of community service. But for the second offense, it would be then an F5, the lowest level felony.
23 other states currently have a similar law in the books.
Under our bill, you can still say, hey, ref, here's my glasses, I think you need them. That's okay, but you can't physically assault.
Sometimes when we cover bills in Columbus, let's be honest, that's the last time you hear about them. But not this one. No, this bill was first introduced in 2019, and every single session it has managed to pass the House, but has been unable to make it through the Senate. In a sense, it just can't clear the fence.
Among those vocally against this adjustment on assault penalties are prosecutors.
Our assault statute in Ohio is incredibly convoluted.
Who argue not against the need for safety for sports officials, but the class system it creates.
The concern that our association has with bills like this is that they demean other victims who suffer the same harm.
Right now, there are increased penalties for assaulting a school teacher, bus driver, or administrator, leaving officials with no other alternative to feel safe than to carry a taser like Simone Jelks, bear spray, or pepper spray like John Kipp.
If somebody gets really stupid, I have some way of fighting back.
House Bill 79 remains in discussion in the Ohio House.
My goodness, the stories they could tell. So Clay is with us right now. So is there a certain age range or a certain sport we see more assaults on referees or officials?
Rob, it's interesting. Every ref we spoke with for this story, about a dozen in total, all had the same answer, and that's middle school.
Middle school.
That's the age when parents still think their kid can go pro, as you just heard, and parents tend to be younger, and it's their first real experience with organized youth sports as a parent. As far as sports, basketball is where they see it most. Why? Basketball is the closest fans and parents are to sports physically and without barriers. Also, see that a lot with soccer.
So as we get older, is it getting worse?
Over and over, we have heard anecdotally, yes. However, finding and analyzing that data is a little tricky. The Ohio High School Athletic Association told News 5 they've already dealt with 5 physical assaults this school year. That's up from about 10 years ago when they said they would only deal with 1 assault every other year or so.
My kids were older in Little League. The parents had to umpire a game at least 1 a year. For the younger kids, I will never do it again.
See?
Never want to.
It's an experience. It's an experience. So we'll have to see what happens with this bill down in Columbus.
There you go. Clay, thanks for all that.